What's up, Justin?
What's up, man? Good to be back.
Dude, it's always a pleasure. We are going to dive deep into filmmaking.
Oh, let's do it.
Everything filmmaking.
I love it.
All right. So turn on, tune in, drop out, because you're about to enter 111. All right. So how's it going?
Man, can't complain. It's going good.
Yeah. I saw you released a film.
Yeah, my film finally, I say finally. The whole process took like 3 weeks, but
No, that's,
it released. Cool. It's cool. You know, like I got to, finally put it up on YouTube for people to see. Mm-hmm. And I've had so much support, like all my friends and family, they're all like, oh man, you finally did it.
That's super
After years
awesome.
of talking about it, you finally did it.
Right. So how did you come up with the idea?
Man, so, kind of in the last episode, I talked about, like the dream I had and all that. And, whenever I woke up from that, I think it was either that night or the next night, I was just like, man, I got to write a film. I got to do something, make it easy. Mm-hmm. I just want to get it out there and get it done. So I was thinking about what do I have access to? And I remember for a shoot that I did for a clothing brand, mm-hmm. there's a studio in Houston and they have different rooms set up. And one of the rooms was like an old hotel room.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, man, that's really cool. Like I could write a whole story around that one hotel room. So I was like, okay, let me go look online and see what things they have. They had a phone, they have a bathroom, they have like an old radio, old TV, a bed. I was like, okay, so here's my box. Let me write something within that. And I was like, I want to take all the pressure off. I just want it to be, one actor, one page, even just a scene. Like I don't want to overcomplicate it. I don't want to make all these characters, this dialogue and everything, because that's kind of what's held me back in the past.
Right.
It's like I have these ideas and I'm like, oh, but I can never do that. How am I going to find actors? How am I going to find, crew and mm-hmm. book off a whole week for people to shoot, right. All this stuff. So I was like, let me try to eliminate as many excuses as mm-hmm. I would have and just film this one simple scene. So I was like, okay. And, I was like, what if a guy was just stressed out, he's running from something.
Right. So I got a chance to view it. You gave me an early cut and it looks great, man.
Oh, thanks.
But one thing I will say that really stood out was the score.
Oh yeah.
I thought the music, the tempo was a great intensity builder.
Yeah. Shout out Tim Qualls. He did all the music for that film. A super good friend of mine. I've done a few music videos for him in the past. Okay. And I was just talking to him one day. Not even whenever I wrote the film or shot it. Mm-hmm. He had no intent of coming on to do that. And I just threw the idea out there. It's like, hey, have you ever it's like, I know you do music. Have you ever tried to score a film? He's like, no, but I'd love to try. Mm-hmm. And he killed it. I used one of his original songs in the film, Stone. And, I just kind of told him what the theme was that I was looking for. And he just knocked it out of the park.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, I think for me especially, whenever I watch any kind of movies or television shows, that's the one thing that, other than cinematography, I think music really just captivates you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It really look, when you edit, how much time do you spend looking for music?
Oh man. Any fellow video editor out there is probably laughing right now because that is the bane of our existence is looking for a song. Man, sometimes, more times than not, I'll say, 85% of the time, it can take me a full day, if not 2-3 days sometimes to find the right song for a project. Yeah. And this is for commercial projects, mm-hmm. The stuff that I do for my 9 to 5, I guess, right. The clients that I work with. So finding songs on the music bed or Epidemic Sound, stuff like that, mm-hmm. I'll search forever to find
that's
the right
funny
song.
Because, you look back 10 years ago, there were no music library sites like that. You know how difficult it was to get music?
I know. Yeah, not even 10 years ago. I remember before the Music Bed had their subscription mm-hmm. program, it's you had to pay for individual songs, and it was $60 a song. And whenever I shot weddings, I would have to include that in the price. I'm hey, for you guys to be able to put this online or whatever, right. We have to do a royalty-free song or not royalty-free, but buy the rights to it. Mm-hmm. And it was $60. And now it's crazy.
It's bizarre because, Yeah, I used to always have to like search like on torrents. I know it's
Oh,
terrible.
yeah.
For like royalty free
Yeah,
music
yeah.
just to use. And sometimes you just had to use whatever was out there. Like you couldn't pick and choose through like an archive of library.
Yeah.
Of, all these talented musicians. And it's crazy because, we were talking about like gear and technology being more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just that, it's even like the music side.
Yeah.
Think of how easily accessible it is to get sound effects now.
Oh man, so easy. Like I use Epidemic Sound. I mean, I should shout out Epidemic Sound. Music Bed, sponsor your boy. But I use them for a lot. They have such great sound effects, and even like built in I use Final Cut to edit, and built into Final Cut, there's so many good sound effects now.
Yeah.
And then like the resources on YouTube to learn how to manipulate those sounds.
Right.
To use low pass filters, high pass filters. Reverb, all these things that can make you sound pro. It's like just the knowledge that's out there is really cool.
It's how do you start with your projects? Like, what is the first inception?
So for like work, commercial projects, or like
Anything, just
like,
in general.
So like I always, if a client comes to me and they're like, hey, I want you to make a video for my brand. My first thing is like, okay, what's the goal for the video? Like, what do you want the video to do? Obviously, usually it's, I want to have sales. Like I want, okay. Next question is, what's the vibe? What do you want people to feel? Do you want them to feel excited? Do you want them to feel, heartfelt? Like what is that? And so from there, that's when we kind of go into the tone, I think, of like, okay, we're going to light this bright and happy, or we're going to be super dramatic and dark, or like really edgy and aggressive. And so I kind of get like the tone of what I'm trying to portray in that.
Right.
And then from there, like I'll write just some ideas down, some shots that like kind of pop in my head, and like try to match those best as possible. A lot of the stuff I shoot is I wouldn't say run and gun, but it's when you're on there, you're changing your mind a lot. People are coming to you with changes and stuff. So you have to be flexible on those shoots. Yeah. But as far as like music videos and my one short film that I've done so far, it's a lot more planned out. So like, for this one film in particular, I started with the story, and I wrote down the story, and as I was writing it, I had the look in my head. Okay. And I already knew like some things that I was taking inspiration from Dusk Till Dawn, the TV show.
Okay.
I've seen that. Yeah, that was one of my like visual inspirations. The score was, I sent Tim some stuff from, oh man, what was that movie? Had Gerard Butler in it, and they like rob a bank, or they like rob banks around LA.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but I sent him some stuff like that. And I was like, I just kind of want like drone music, like just kind of sounds and stuff in the background, and yeah. So from there, like I kind of like build a mood board of like inspiration from different shots from different movies that I like, and then break it down to the shot list, and then when we get there, we can kind of have an organized.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so I'd say for myself, usually, even if it's not for like, even when it's a personal project, a lot of the times it comes directly from music. Yeah. Like 100% of the times, it's a song that just, I can listen to music and I see visuals for it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way. Yeah. I love, man, sometimes, like whenever I write, I'll put on a score. Mm-hmm. Like I'll go to like type in Hans Zimmer or something, and I'll put it on, and I'll just like, man, nothing gets me in the zone more than like a good movie score.
That's funny because I literally just talked to my co-host Christian a few episodes ago about that's how I would always write anything. Yeah. Anything would be written because of a soundtrack or, something that got into my headspace where like it put me in that mood.
What are some stuff, some soundtracks and music that kind of inspires you?
So I absolutely loved Slumdog Millionaire soundtrack. I don't know if you remember that, but they had one of the most beautiful composers put amazing music throughout that whole film. Yeah. I believe his name is A.R. I forget. He's big. I don't want to disrespect him by not knowing. But I love like the Interstellar soundtrack. That was a really good one.
That Interstellar soundtrack it gets me every time. I love that soundtrack.
Right. I'm a huge fan of Clint Mansell. He does a lot of like Darren Aronofsky's films.
Okay, cool, yeah.
He always has like that haunting like music. Like I don't know if you've ever seen Requiem for a Dream.
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, or The Fountain.
Yeah.
The music is just so hauntingly good.
I really liked what was it? The ballet movie that he did.
Oh, Black Swan.
Black Swan. Yeah, that was really good. Super dark.
So and he does a lot of very like mind-bending type, pictures. Not always. I mean, The Wrestler was not so much like a mind-bender, but like I don't know if you saw Mother.
No, I wanted to see that one.
Yeah, that was a very different, picture. So as far as like movies go, what are some of the movies that really get you inspired? Where you're like, man, how can I ever make something that epic?
Man, I'm gonna sound like so uneducated and probably shunned from the film world, but I genuinely love I like a good blockbuster. I'm not going to be the filmmaker here that's like, oh, I've got to watch this artsy,
pretentious.
Yeah, it has this deep meaning. The Batman, the visuals on that, the cinematography on that, even the storytelling, that was an amazing movie in my opinion. I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people, Robert Pattinson, they can't get past him being Batman. Yeah. But I love that. And I think it's the thing that I love about those movies is it just resonates with so many people. And I feel like that's why I want to do this, is because I want to be able to reach a lot of people. And and one thing that I've always told my wife Kirby is that I love movies because for those 2 hours that you're sitting in that theater, you can just picture yourself as Iron Man or Batman, and you're the hero, or you're with the hero the whole time, and all of your problems that you've had in the world, they're just gone. Right. For those 2 hours, you can be anyone in the world. And that's the coolest thing about movies to me, I'm not trying to, this is just me personally, I'm not trying to have this super artistic, deep, hidden internal message, right. Although I appreciate those, and I think those are really cool movies, and those serve a great purpose. Right. But as far as movies that I want to make, I want stuff that can resonate with a lot of people. That's right. Yeah. I enjoyed the Marvel movies, most of them. I really love Interstellar, all of Nolan's. Man, every one of his movies. I love.
He's pivotal right now, I would say I also really appreciate Denis Villeneuve's work.
Yes, yeah, man, Dune. Oh, bro. My goodness, I love Dune.
The art direction was incredible.
Dune was so good, and that was the one movie you had to see in theaters to really appreciate it. And I'm a big theater person.
For sure.
I'm I'll always keep going to the movies as long as I can.
I know. I remember during COVID when they're like, oh, movies are closed. I was and everything was just appearing on HBO Max.
Oh, man, I was so scared. I was please don't let this be the new norm.
I know, it was scary because it felt like it was going to be that way.
Yeah, and I remember as soon as the theaters opened up, they were playing old movies, and I was so excited because I always used to say man, I want to go see I don't know, Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park in theaters, or the original Star Wars, that was before I was born. Right. So I couldn't have that experience of watching in theaters, but I got to during COVID because they came back. They were playing old movies, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. What are if I know this is gonna be putting you on the spot, but 5 of your top favorite films of all time?
5. Okay, let me see. So for sure, my number 1 is gonna be Lord of the Rings, and I know there's 6 movies. Okay. But just I guess I'll just call it The Fellowship of the Ring, because that was the movie that inspired me to go into filmmaking.
That's so cool.
Man, this is a hard one. Interstellar's up there. I really, when people ask me what are some of your favorite movies, I always think what are movies that I can watch over and over and over? And a lot of times they're comedies. Oh, okay. I would love to make comedies, but I don't think I'm that funny. But
comedies are hard though.
They're really hard, but Superbad,
Yeah.
I could watch Superbad anytime. Like, I love that movie. And The Hangover, the original Hangover, I remember watching that in theaters and just being completely like, what's going to happen next? Like, how could this go? So like, those are probably two that I would also say. And then, man, maybe Inception.
Oh, Inception was a really good film.
You know, it was another good one with Leonardo DiCaprio. Shutter Island.
You know, I've never seen Shutter Island.
Really?
No.
Oh man,
Good.
you should watch it.
Is that Christopher Nolan? No, that was Insomnia.
Yeah, no, it's not Christopher Nolan, but it feels kind of like it's mind bending.
Okay,
it's weird.
Very cool.
Definitely watch that.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
So I don't know. I feel like I have like a top 5 for every genre. You know. But I guess if you were to look at it from like most moving or like mind, because I did one on mind bending, right? And like obviously like The Matrix.
Oh yeah, The Matrix.
You know, like movies where like I walked out of the theater and I was just like speechless. So definitely The Matrix. I was blown away.
Yeah.
I the visual effects, the story.
Yeah,
it was beyond its time, right? Like it's relatable even till now.
Yeah. Did you watch the new one?
Yes.
Wasn't a favorite.
No, but hey, you know what? We got The Matrix we needed.
I think it was a good nostalgia. Like it was like, that was nice. You know, like it wasn't like, obviously it's not nothing will ever be the first Matrix.
No. It just did not hold to that same like story or, you know. But the recent one that I just watched, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that one's definitely like, that's what I meant by like, we got our Matrix of this time frame.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wow.
I really appreciated that movie.
Yeah. What did you like about it so much?
For me, I felt like all the different layers that it had. Because, you know, you're watching a film that breaks like a lot of genres.
Yeah.
And they did it very well in every genre. But I think the messages throughout the film, and I know like it's, you know, sometimes you just watch films like blockbuster films just for fun, for pure entertainment, right? But I felt like this film had the entertainment because it had comedy. I was laughing a lot through that movie. I was laughing a lot. And I was like, this is a comedy.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of like very heartfelt moments that were super deep.
Yeah.
And then you have that whole like existential, you know, ask yourself like, you know, about your own like reality kind of, you know, and I guess for me, everything that I've been like kind of thinking about in the last like 6 months, that movie, I felt like it was made for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's so relatable that I'm sure you could say the same. Like it just, the messages, the writing in it, it was so deep, you know?
And I think that I read that a lot. People were saying that this is the movie that we needed after, you know, the couple of years we've had.
Right.
And I thought it was a great movie. The fight scenes were insane. They were so good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
It was definitely a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I think that also The Fountain was one of my favorite films. And
I never saw that, but
a lot
I hear
of people,
so much about it.
A lot of people either love it or just it's kind of contrived, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the visuals, man.
Yeah.
Darren Aronofsky just knows how to just put these really artful pieces together and still make them like really Hollywood, you know? I don't know if you ever seen Pi. Very
the world's gonna know how little movies I've seen.
No, Justin, it's just because I'm pretentious. I'm one of those pretentious film buffs who's just like, oh, you watch what is it, 2012? No,
terrible movie.
No, I just, I don't know. From like an art perspective, he does a really good job of just visually captivating you, you know? And
no, I am a fan of his. I think that a lot of his movies,
because the basis of the storyline is like it spans like 3 different time frames, right? But it almost feels like it's all stacked at once.
Yeah.
And the movies that really hit home for me are the ones that are like the mind benders, right? Like I really like this last one, Everything Everywhere All at Once, just because it's just so hard to grasp, or like, how do you even create something like that?
Yeah.
It goes from scene to scene seamlessly.
Yeah.
and it's like a dream state, you know, like I'm watching it thinking like, this is how my dreams look. You know?
Yeah.
Like they don't make sense sometimes. And,
I watched it for the second time today, and the first time it was definitely kind of hard for me to keep up with all of it, all the jumping of spoiler alert, but the all the multiverse shifting and everything. But whenever I watched it for the second time, I had more of like a ground base of like where everything was, and I could follow it so much better, and I really appreciated it
the second time
more. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see Fight Club?
Yeah.
So
Fight
Club.
Club.
when I watched Fight Club, I wasn't expecting that. David Fincher again. He just has like the aesthetic. You know, that I felt that so much with the Batman. Yeah, it felt like a David Fincher Batman. You know, like the style, the characters, and how he portrayed like the Riddler. Like it was so unique. Yeah, but at the same time, they stayed true to like that whole film noir. Yeah, you know, like how he's breaking that fourth wall and he's like narrating.
Yeah, I love, man, the first, like, that scene, the opening scene of him just like explaining Batman. Like, I guess it's like first 15 minutes of the film. Oh, that was like my favorite part of the whole movie.
It was pretty epic.
It was so good.
Like it was so like gritty, and it's crazy because it's like we live in a really crazy time where we get to like experience like 5 different versions of Batman.
Oh, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Christian Bale. Like for me, it was like Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we go to Val Kilmer.
Yeah. George Clooney.
Yeah. And then
who was your Batman? Like when you think of Batman,
probably Christian Bale.
Yeah. Me too. I think he was my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. For sure.
I honestly think Pattinson killed it as a young Batman.
I did too. I think he definitely had like the look of being like this like really rich, wealthy dude. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just crazy. It's almost like dabbling into the multiverse. Yeah. Because now you're seeing like these actors portraying, you know, like Batman, and you're always like, oh, I wonder who would make a good Iron Man? Yeah. And then like now apparently I see like maybe Tom Cruise might be an Iron Man in one of these. Have you not seen that? I
didn't see that.
It's like a split. Like I think it's gonna be in. I don't know if it's like through the new Doctor Strange or something's coming out where Tom Cruise is gonna play the new.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's just like,
man, Robert Downey though, he is Tony Stark.
I know.
Like, he
sealed it. It's like iconic.
Yeah, you know? Like there'll never be. I mean, I don't know that Tom Cruise would be Tony Stark, but you know, he was Iron Man.
What do you think about the new Top Gun 2?
Oh man, that looks good. As a kid, my dream job was to be a fighter pilot.
Oh really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
When I used to go to the air shows with my dad, and I'm like, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to be a fighter pilot. But yeah, so that like kind of excites my inner child.
No, I remember after watching Top Gun, like when I was a lot younger, I was just like, this is crazy. How did they film those fighter jets?
The red Komodo. No, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like that is such a feat to be up in the air filming like these fighter jets dogfighting and then cutting it to make it make sense. Because I'm sure they weren't.
Oh, you mean back in the day?
Back in the day for the first Top Gun.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know how they.
And we haven't had like a fighter jet type film in like 30 years. Yeah. You know what? Pearl Harbor, but that wasn't.
Yeah, that wasn't anything. I think of Independence Day.
Right.
Yeah. Will Smith.
Will Smith, yeah.
Where he's dogfighting the aliens.
Yeah. That was probably the last
that was
jet
a fun
fighting.
One.
Yeah. What do you think about I forgot. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It was just a movie that I just saw that's gonna go. The new Doctor Strange.
Oh, that looks good. But if I'm being honest, like with all the new Marvel stuff, I really feel like now they're just kind of chasing checks.
Okay.
You know, like I haven't been like blown away with the new wave of Marvel yet. Besides the stuff that they've released on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Like I really liked WandaVision.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was really cool.
Was good. What else is on there that I watched?
Have you followed that Moon Knight?
Not yet. I'm waiting for them all to come out so I can binge it.
Oh, okay.
I like to watch it all in one sitting.
Gotcha.
I don't like waiting week to week.
Right. Yeah. I know. Like that's old school TV.
Yeah. But like the Eternals, did you see the Eternals?
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't. my favorite, and then
it was definitely different.
Yeah.
You know, like it just didn't have the Marvel feel. It just felt like its own like entity, right?
Black Widow was okay.
Yeah, I agree. There hasn't really been anything
Yeah.
other than I'd say that the last, what was it, the Infinity Wars or whatever?
Yeah.
I think that was like the last big epic Marvel film.
Yeah, I hope they can bring it back. You know, like I'm excited about the new Thor movie.
Oh, there's a new one coming out.
Yeah, I forget the name of it, but yeah, I just watched the trailer the other day for it. But I don't know. Like I've always said this, like with my friends and stuff. I love DC.
Okay.
I love I'm not comparing them because they're completely different, but I like how gritty the DC movies are.
Right.
I don't think the story wise are the best. The original Justice League was not good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was not good. But,
I fell asleep.
You know, like yeah, I did not like it. But what was it? The
Snyder Cut?
Snyder Cut was really good. And that ending scene with the Joker. Did you watch it?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was so good. And when Superman came out, Man of Steel, just the visuals. I'm a huge Zack Snyder fan.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm
guilty of it.
Visually, he's like the coolest director. I think like his look is just so cool. And whenever I saw that Nolan was producing that and Zack Snyder was directing, I'm like, that is the dream team.
I know.
And then you have Hans Zimmer on the score, and it's just like, how could you make a bad movie with that? But I guess it didn't resonate with a lot of people, which I can see why. But you know, visually, I think it's a really cool looking film.
Right. Yeah. I went and saw it in theaters, and I remember thinking like, this is a really cool Superman film.
Yeah.
Like I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I don't know. I felt like people came out of there like, oh, that wasn't that good.
Yeah.
You know, but I just remember like that scene where he's it's the bad guy with the dark hair. Yeah. And
General Zod.
Yeah. It's just, I thought they did a cool job with it. I mean, there's some things that were like the whole, who's it? Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, like I can get over that. Right.
Yeah.
And, all right. So do you watch any like horror films?
Man, not too much.
Not too much?
Yeah. I'm a bigger fan of I think gore than I am like demonic.
Paranormal.
Yeah, type stuff. Yeah, so I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Saw, stuff like that, you know. But I think right now the whole paranormal thing is what's popping, so I don't really watch too much of that.
Gotcha. There is one, I don't know if you've seen it. It was a very bizarre film, but it was pretty good, pretty well done. It's called
Human Centipede.
No, it's called Hereditary.
No, I didn't see that.
Now it's older. I think it came out in like 2019. But
okay.
I remember seeing the trailer for it and thinking like, I don't know. It looks like a mind bender / I don't know what to think. Like, is the character like going crazy or is it real? But no, you should definitely check it out just for the music in it.
Really?
Because the music is the pacing of the editing and the music. It does something to you.
What style of horror is it? Is it like
So I can't say that because then I don't want to ruin.
Give it away.
Yeah, you know, because it really, you don't know what to think.
Yeah,
you really don't. So definitely check that one out just to see the new style of like, I wouldn't call it horror.
Yeah,
I call it more like psychological
thriller.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I know you haven't seen The Conjurings.
No.
Oh, okay. So again, like Conjuring 1 and 2, especially part 1.
Yeah.
It's the director, James Wan. He did the Saw series.
Yeah.
Man, that guy is really good. Dude.
Yeah.
Like he's a genre jumper as well. But
yeah, he did Aquaman, I think, right?
Yeah, he did Aquaman, and he did one of the Fast and Furious films.
That's right, yeah.
But he just has a really great way of just creating like this, like, you know, tension / like uncomfortableness in his movies, especially like The Conjuring. Like, I love the style of it. It kind of like reinvigorated like the horror genre, especially like from the paranormal perspective. It was pretty neat to see. But yeah, I hope that whole, because he created a whole universe.
Yeah.
On just like those type of movies. But if he doesn't do them, if he's not the one directing them, they're just kind of subpar. You know, I mean, he seems to use the same kind of directors to do them, and they seem to do pretty well in theaters. But every time we watch them, we're always like, no, that wasn't that. It wasn't a James Wan.
Yeah.
You know, if you had the chance to work with any filmmaker, who would it be?
Like a director?
Yeah, director.
Man, I would love...
Or study under, be an apprentice for.
Man, I've always said if I could just like shadow Christopher Nolan for like his whole process, his writing, pre-production, production, post-production, just like be a fly on the wall, even for a day, on anything, that would be crazy. I just don't understand how that guy's brain works. Some of these movies, like Interstellar, you know, like...
How did you come up with the...
How does that...
Yeah.
Man, how does that come out of your head? And I know he has another writer that he usually writes with. I think it's his brother, actually.
His brother writes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like coming up with those crazy ideas and then executing them is insane.
Yeah.
Him, I'm really, I've always been, I guess it's because he's a local Texas guy, but ever since I was a kid, Robert Rodriguez. Man, I would love to just like, I like to hang out with him, you know, and just like pick his brain a little bit.
He seems really cool, man. He seems down to earth. And like, especially for like filmmakers, I don't know if you remember, years ago, he came out with a book.
Oh, yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebel Without a Crew.
Yep. Yep. And it's just so inspiring because, like, he's the epitome of, like, no excuses.
Yeah.
You know, like, he made it happen no matter what. And especially with his back against the wall.
Yeah.
He still created, you know. Ultimately, he followed it.
Yeah. And even now, you know, like he directed one of the episodes of The Mandalorian. And I watched the making of that. And he literally, for the previs, he went in the backyard with his kids and their toys and like animated them and like did fake explosions and stuff so that, you know, the producers could see what he was talking about. And it's like, he just makes it work. He just, like you said, no excuses, whatever. He doesn't need this big Hollywood fancy thing, you know, like he can make it in his backyard.
I mean, that's why there is a film in Austin.
Yeah.
It's because of him. He's like pivotal in that scene.
Yeah.
You know, like he created Troublemaker Studios.
Crazy. Yeah. And that's like super inspiring because like coming from a place like, especially, you know, Texas, but even Houston, where Houston's very corporate, oil and gas, you know, like back in the day, I'm sure, you know, like Austin's always been creative, you know, even like since the 70s, but, you know, being able to make movies in Texas always seemed like a far-fetched dream. And he made it a reality. I would love to be able to do something like that for Houston, you know. You know
who else is a Texas filmmaker that I really appreciate is Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
I absolutely, honestly, I didn't finish my list of films.
That's true. Sorry.
But no, it's no worries. But like I said, I have genres, right? And when it comes to like the whole coming of age or like, man, Richard Linklater has got away with just making really unique dialogue in his film. I don't know if you've ever seen Before Sunset, Before Sunrise.
No. I wanted to watch Boyhood too. He made
Boyhood, yes. Man, I mean, you need to check out Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, just because you'll never see chemistry like that on screen between people that you wouldn't like. You would think that they were real, like people that met. Like you forget that you're watching Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I mean, it's so unique, bro. Like it's.
I feel like that's a true gift as a director to be able to connect with your actors that way and get a genuine performance out of them, you know, to where it feels like they've been friends forever. Yeah.
And, you know, he also uses them, he carries them into like, have you ever seen Waking Life?
No.
You need to watch Waking Life. It's it's like a very unique style of film. He colors cell shades, like all of the frames.
Oh, wow.
And this is done in like, I think 98 or 99. Yeah. And back then I remember seeing it when I was like a teenager and I was like, this looks weird. Like, how could I watch this? You know, it looks like somebody colored over like a movie.
Yeah.
But watching
you got to send me a list of all these movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. I especially like talking about it. We will show like little snippets.
Yeah.
You know, just because these are interesting films.
Yeah.
Very crazy topics that they talk about in the those movies. Another one that I really liked that he did was, did you ever see Tape with Uma Thurman?
No.
That was, okay, so I was fortunate enough when the Houston Film Society had like a film festival. I forget what it was called. I think it was the Houston Film Society I forget, but
oh, that's cool.
He was here.
Oh, really? Oh wow.
He was here, and I think Ethan Hawke was with him.
That's cool.
And I bought tickets because I was like, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And it was Richard Linklater, Ethan Hawke, and they were just talking back and forth about making tape. And it was such a unique and surreal experience because I was like, man, I would have never imagined that I'd get to sit and listen to like one of my favorite filmmakers, you know, sitting like 10 feet away talking about, you know, this movie and how he made it. And I think he shot it like digitally too. And that's when like digital was like brand new.
Oh yeah, and people hated it.
I know.
Yeah.
And it was like Steven Soderbergh. He's really like a pioneer of like pushing the envelope when it comes to like digital cinema.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember he was like at the forefront of pushing like all those old like mini DV digital cameras and making movies any way he could. He even pushed it with like using a cell phone to film an entire feature.
Really? Who made Collateral?
Michael Mann.
Okay, yeah. So I remember when Collateral came out, that was shot on digital.
Yeah.
And people were like, what? Like,
I know.
They were up in arms. They're like, it'll never replace film.
Yeah, no. It was, you know, Michael Mann is like hit and miss to me.
Yeah.
The Collateral was cool. He also did Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Miami Vice was filmed, same thing, like digital. Because I remember going back and watching it, I'm like, man, this thing is grainy.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like they didn't know how to light it or something, you know? But, yeah, I don't know if you saw Ali. He did Ali as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
To me, I was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't memorable. But, yeah, he was another one of those big-time filmmakers.
Yeah.
Who were some of the filmmakers you looked up to, like, when you were, like, really pushing, like, to want to get into film?
Yeah, like I said before, Robert Rodriguez is always, like, just because he made it seem possible.
Yeah.
You know, like you hear a story about how he used to shoot little home movies with his siblings and, you know, like he can make these big blockbusters like Alita and Sin City right here in Austin.
That's
you know?
so crazy.
Crazy. So like he was always probably like my number one, you know, person that I looked up to. I loved Peter Jackson, you know, from watching Lord of the Rings. I really thought that was cool. Again, kind of like an underdog story, you know, like coming from New Zealand and, you know, being able to shoot the whole thing there. So those two were like my biggest inspirations, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What about you?
So I go through like phases. Like growing up, Michael Bay was like my jam.
Oh yeah.
I like when I was like in my teens because I loved action films. I grew up on action films.
Yeah, I love action films too.
You know, like it was Michael Bay, John Woo. Like I mean, I would just anything like action.
Another one, not a director, but Jackie Chan.
Oh yeah,
man. So like whenever I found, you know, like watch DVDs and like learned that that's how films are made from watching the special features. I also got Rush Hour 2
cool.
on DVD, and like seeing how hands-on Jackie Chan was, like everyone would, you know, be gone and him and the director would be right there working on it, and he's so hands-on, and that just looked like so much fun. And the way he does all of his own stunts and his passion behind like filmmaking and the art of it and everything, and it's just I really look up to him. I would love to meet him one day.
I know
he's a huge inspiration.
So the fighting in Everything Everywhere All at Once, didn't it have a reminiscent of Jackie Chan's style?
Yeah, with the fanny pack, like how Jackie Chan will throw a ladder at you. He'll whatever he can grab onto, he'll throw it at you.
It was very like it was like an almost like an homage to
it really was
Jackie Chan. It was cool. The guys that were in it, the Asian dudes that were just like, man, they were really good at fighting.
Yeah, I actually I found those guys like a couple of years ago, and I remember the guy, the kind of bald headed guy. I followed him because he's like this bigger dude,
but he can move.
Yeah, and I would see him on Instagram doing these crazy flips and crazy kicks, and I'm like, man, I want to follow.
Yeah.
And then I saw that he was in the movie, and I'm like, holy.
That was their big break, by the way.
Really?
Because one of their friends, I'm friends with him on Instagram, and he was a part of some of the choreography for that film.
Oh, wow.
And after I watched the film, I was like, he messaged me, and he was like, yeah, it was so cool to see, like, some of the fights that we put together actually, like, make it into the film.
That's crazy.
And they were doing this back in 2018.
Really? For this film?
For this film,
Wow.
Yeah. So think about that. That was a while back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, growing up, it was always like John Woo, Michael Bay. Those were like, yeah, and also like Quentin Tarantino.
Yep.
But as I got older, like I didn't really care too much about like the Tarantino films because it was like Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill. Those were like the iconic ones.
Kill Bill.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorite all-time movies.
It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But then I really like Danny Boyle's work. Train Spotting was really cool. Some of that British stuff, Guy Ritchie. I really like Guy Ritchie's style. I honestly like Guy Ritchie and Tony Scott. I'd say those were the two that I tried to mimic during like my early years in college.
Really?
Yeah, from like how he would like speed ramp and do like, their very harsh editing with the lights and flickering. Because I don't know if you saw like Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like certain areas where like Tony Scott's editor would use like this like transparent like flickering.
Yeah.
It was stylish, but sometimes it could be a bit much, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely were like really good like action directors. I really liked their work.
I love a good action film.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes I just want to go to the movies and just watch I don't want to watch anything deep, just like a good action film with like awesome fight scenes.
Okay. I know I have recommended this to you many a times, many a times. Have you, Justin Betancourt, watched Gangs of London?
Not yet.
You need to watch it.
I keep forgetting. Yes. I got to put it on the list. I need to put it on the list.
One of the best action series I have ever seen in my entire life. Because it goes from like The Raid meets like I don't even know what else, but the action sequences are so brutal, and like just so like impactful because of how brutal they are, because growing up, it was also like Luc Besson. I loved like all of his like his action films, like Leon the Professional. That was one of my jams, man. I really liked that. He does a lot of like, really just cool action pictures. He did all like he didn't direct like all the Transporter films, anything Jason Statham. That was a cool like trend for a while to watch a lot of his pictures. He's pretty consistent. Growing up, it was like always like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies.
Bruce Lee, man.
Yeah.
I love old Bruce Lee movies.
It was always like that,
I love like the old Kung Fu movies, with Iron Monkey and Crouching Tiger, I love those.
Yeah, those were really cool films, man. So I know I said like, I didn't really care about Quentin Tarantino's latest work. Like I just don't. I don't know. I guess it's like you kind of you're expecting the same kind of like dialogue and it's kind of contrived now. Like when he always uses like a big word just for the heck of it. Like he breaks the fourth wall to be like gargantuan. I've always wanted to use that, and I was like,
scenes.
Yeah,
He always got to put feet in his movies
because he's like got that fetish. Yeah. But when you were editing your short film, was it effortless in the sense that you knew how it was going to play out, or did you have to? How many renditions or like cuts did you have to do?
Man, it was so like this was my first short film. Making this film was completely different than I thought it would be. Okay. Whenever I got home, and I remember, so I do all of my coloring first. Okay. Because I shoot on Blackmagic and I shoot raw. So, and I edit in Final Cut, and Final Cut can't read the raw file, so I have to put it in Resolve and convert it to ProRes. So like while I'm in Resolve, I'll just go ahead and color it.
Okay.
And I remember I had like, again, soundtracks like you were talking, playing in the background just to try to get the vibe of it. And I was so excited. I was like, man, this looks like a movie. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this looks legit. And I was so pumped. And then I, get it into Final Cut and I start throwing down some clips. And I got excited again. And then like, I kind of like cut like a rough cut and I got so discouraged. I was like, this is not good.
Because you're probably overthinking.
Yeah. Right? And I was like, man, like, I just don't like, it's not good. Like I didn't like it. And at that point I had been working on it probably for 2 days straight, coloring it. And then like watching all the takes over, getting, the ones that I knew I wanted in there, laying it out. And it's kind of like all I was thinking about for those 2 days. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to give myself an entire weekend. I'm not going to look at anything. I'm not going to go back and rewatch it. I'm going to like completely clear my head and not even like visit it. I need a break from it because like not only was I editing it, you know, before that I shot it for the whole day. The whole week before that I was doing, you know, the pre-production for it, going and buying costumes or wardrobe.
Okay.
We made fake whiskey for it.
Nice.
The sweat, like the makeup. It was just like pretty consuming for that whole week. So for a little over a week, that's all I thought and talked about. So I was like, I need to take a break. I came back and watched it, and I was like, it's not that bad. I was like, let me just work on it. And then as I worked on it, I added layers, cut things out, moved things around. And I started to like it again. I started to vibe with it again. And then that's when I talked to Tim, and I was like, hey, can you bring, you know, you want to do the score? And he sent me a first draft of the score, and it was completely not what I wanted. I was like, you know, like it was good, but it just didn't fit my vision. And I think that was part of my fault for not completely clarifying like my vision to him, which was a learning process. That's what this whole first film was about. So I, you know, told him, I was like, you know, this is kind of like what I was thinking, kind of having it more of like a drone, more of ambience, like not so like his stuff was like a music, like a song. It was like notes and like, and like he gave the character a motif. So like a whole thing. And I think it would have worked really well if we had a bigger story, you know, like with other characters, so that whenever he came in, you knew like that was his song. And I was like, it's almost too good. I was like, I just kind of want background music. And, you know, he went and worked on it for a couple of days, and then I came back to it, and it just like, the more I worked on it, and then I took a break, worked on it, took a break, it just like really came together.
Nice. Yeah. That's really cool. That kind of reminds me of like when you say drone, the droning, like ambient kind of music. You know, it's pretty. It's like less is more, kind of. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that movie Drive with Ryan Gosling.
Oh yeah, that was another huge inspiration for this. Yeah,
like,
I love that movie.
Just like the opening, it's just that ticking. Like it's weird because he didn't even have to drive fast. He didn't, but the music builds up so much.
The music becomes a character.
Yeah,
and it really like pushes the story, and it makes you feel a certain way. Depending on what your music is doing, is what the audience is going to feel. So it's like very important.
Yeah, so no, that's, you know, I'm really happy that, you know, you got it, you know, created, and now you're promoting it. And what are your plans for it? Are you putting it into any festivals?
So that's funny because whenever, like I said, when I wrote it, had no intentions of, you know, like I wanted all the pressure off. So I was like, I'm not even going to show this to anybody. Like I don't care to have it out. This is just to get my first film out of the way. Like it wasn't like any intentions. But then like when we got there on set, everyone's ideas were, you know, flowing, and it just came out way better than I thought it would.
Gotcha.
So I did, just for fun, I submitted to some festivals.
Okay, cool.
And so like around June, July, I'll find out if those got, you know, if it got accepted or not. But I'm not like, my expectations aren't crazy out there because, you know, when I wrote it, I didn't intend to write an entire story. It's more of a scene. So I understand.
Action. Okay, so after you brought your footage home, you reviewed it, you edited that first cut where you're like, oh, I don't like it. You watched it again after like leaving it alone. At what point were you like, oh, light bulb, I think I like the direction it's going? Like what made you like get more motivated again?
Listening to different scores and different music to get the vibe of it. Okay. Because when you don't have anything behind it, I feel like it's hard to feel the tension. Right. And I think that's what it was lacking, was tension. Gotcha. So like once I got that back from Tim, the final score, that's when I feel like it all came together and started coming. And then I started adding layers of sound design to it. Okay. That was another thing that was like, okay, now we're starting to feel like we're living in this world. You know, like with, there's certain parts in the film where, you know, he gets the call and then you hear a hit, boom. Yeah. And I feel like I wanted that to represent like, oh, your stomach drops. Like, oh no, you know? Very cool. Yeah. And yeah, just, like I said, adding the song, and then going through and just like fine tuning some cuts. And then I finally got the first rough cut. Well, I call it rough cut, but it was like the first like polished rough cut.
Okay.
And that's the one I sent to you, and I sent to a lot of people and just got some feedback from it. And there were a few things that people were like, oh, like, I don't know about this shot or that shot. So I took everyone's suggestions, and I found ones that like all lined up. Like if people were saying the same thing about a certain thing, then I would change that and be like, oh, okay, let me revisit that and look at that. Okay. And it was funny because I actually sent it to my sister, who she's not into film at all. And I was just like, she had come over the night before we shot it, and I was telling her about it. She didn't know I was doing it. And then she was like, oh, well, send it to me when it's done. So I sent it to her, and you'll see in the film what it's all about. But it's called 30 Minutes. And she was like, he has 30 minutes to do what? And I was like, you're right. I never said that. I never wrote that in the script. Like, he has 30 minutes to do what? Yeah. If you haven't watched the movie yet, go watch it so that you can know what I'm talking about. But so the guy on the phone, the boss, is me. So I could just go and re-record that myself. So I went and added in, you have 30 minutes to give me my package. Yeah. And that was like a huge thing. I was like, man, that was like a big missing piece of the story that I needed. So yeah, I think it's, little bit by little bit it came together. And man, like I said before in the last episode, when I hit every emotion, like I'll hit happy, ecstatic, sad, mad, frustrated. I'll just go through them all. And then eventually you end up with a finished product. And, I'm with like how it went for my first film. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Right. What sort of challenges did you face when putting it all together?
Like in the editing or shooting?
Just in general, like what was the greatest challenge of the whole project?
Doing it. Starting. Okay. Yeah. For me, it was starting. Like, I've wanted to do filmmaking since I was a kid, literally since I was, in high school. And I've always come up with excuses. I've always talked about it, and I've always said, I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to get, and this year was just the year that I was like, I'm going to do it, Nice. And after that dream, and then, after I've heard several people, their success stories, and I'm like, this is never going to just like happen. I've got to make an effort and actually do it. So I started very simple, I didn't, before I would always like open up Celtics or Final Draft or whatever, and I'm like, okay, let me write my script, intro, but I was like, that's not a very practical way to write something. Right. Because I have all these ideas in my head that aren't a movie, but they're an image. Right. And so I got note cards, and I was like, let me just write down what's in my head. Okay. Just boom, 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 boom. So I had like all these pieces, and I literally laid them out on the floor. And I was like, okay, so if this happens here, then I'll move this over here. This will happen here. This will happen here and here. Okay, well, how do I fill in all that? So like, I think doing it like that for me helped start the process. Like it kind of made it less intimidating for me. So once I had the script, then it was like, okay, you got a script. Yeah. Now you got to shoot it. So, talking to, like I talked to you, I think right after I came up with the idea, but didn't have the script. So I was like, okay, the more people I tell about it, the more that I have to do it. Right. So I was telling everyone. Like accountability, right? I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a film. I have an idea. I'm going to make a film. I got the place. I know where I want to shoot it. I got it. And I was purposely telling everyone because I knew if I told people, then I would hold myself accountable to that. Yeah. But yeah, that was the biggest challenge. I learned a lot of other things, but I think, just actually going through with it and doing it was the biggest awesome hill to overcome. Right. Yeah. And I guess you said that you're submitting it into some festivals. What's cool about that is like, as scary as that sounds, like putting your work out there, because you're always gonna be like self-conscious of like, man, are they gonna like it? Are they, and again, you're in your head, and it doesn't even matter if they love it or they don't. The important part is you made an effort to make it. Yeah. And it's a stepping stone, right? I mean, look at how many times you doubted the process. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now it was just like you went
you went all in on yourself.
Yeah. And, you know, like it's cool with the film festivals. Like I've actually learned a lot just by submitting this. I didn't know anything about film festivals before. I didn't know. I thought you went to like, you know, I only thought about 3 film festivals: South by Southwest, Sundance, and like Cannes, however you say it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you just go to their website and submit it. But it's not. There's like a whole website, Film Freeway, that you sign up for. You create a profile. You upload your projects. Every festival is listed on there, and it's like you learn so much. And I'm like, I'm glad I had the opportunity to like learn that. So when I'm ready to put a film that like I'm going all in on, like I know the process a bit better.
That's so funny. I totally forgot about Film Freeway.
Yeah,
it's been that long.
Really? I didn't even know about it. And yeah, I you know, like I'm not expecting to get in. I'm not like, my expectations are very low because like I said, I wrote it as a scene. I get if they don't put it in why. But I'm just like curious. I'm like, you know, if it gets in, like I kind of want to use it as a gauge to see like if it does get in, if it does and does it win awards, if not, does it not get accepted to anything, you know, okay, you know, why, you know, go back and revisit so that the next one I do, I can really put effort into it.
Yeah. And it's not that you didn't put effort into this one. Like, you know, like you stated, it's just a stepping stone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all, like I said before, you know, this was just to prove to myself that I could do it.
Right.
Anything else that comes of it, which I have no expectations for, you know, like not downplaying it, but just, you know, I accomplished my goal with it. Right. So like anything else outside of that is just a bonus.
Right. Yeah.
And it was fun, you know, like I got to make a movie with my friends. Like that's what everyone wants, you know, everyone wants to include their friends in there, having Tim come do the score, having, you know, you come out and help with the behind the scenes, and Sam and Ozzy, Nick, all these people, you know, that came out and showed their support and genuinely had a good time.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun. And it's cool to see like a creative community kind of like come together and like support each other, you know, because especially this day and age, you have a lot of young like content creators, not filmmakers. And instead of like trying to uplift it feels more like a competition. Yeah. Like everybody's like, oh, I do better work than them. Yeah. You know, instead of like, no, it's subjective. Everybody has a different perspective, you know, so it's not so cookie cutter. Yeah. No, that was really nice to see that, you know, you had a lot of support.
Yeah, it was really cool. And, you know, with like all the young, you know, creators out there and stuff that are there, if anything, it's good to share your knowledge because, you know, so many people are focused, and especially the younger generation, on just like creating a vibe and like making a cool video. But when in reality, in my opinion, I think story is still king.
Still king.
You know, like I feel like if you can show that to the younger generation, that's just going to make it better for everyone. Yeah. You know, like everyone's going to, you know, grow in that. So I love, you know, being able to share what knowledge I have with, you know, younger people and younger content creators.
Content creators. Hey, Justin, where can everybody check out your film?
So it's on my YouTube page right now. You can just search my name. Should pop up. If not, check out the link in my bio on my Instagram at Justin Betancourt. And yeah.
No, I really appreciate you, you know, going through your creative process and talking film. Love talking film with you.
Me too. I love it.
Yeah, especially when, you know, you grew up watching like all these movies.
Yeah.
And for all the listeners out there, you know, this is a huge passion of mine, and even my co-host Christian, who's not here right now.
I was really hoping to meet her.
Yeah, we always talk about movies like literally every day, and it'd always be like this. We'd come into work and be like, "What did you watch anything this weekend?" You know, and we'd go break it down. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes it'd be like, "I watched this, but I don't know if it was that good." Yeah. Or, you know. So it's fun though. Like it's fun to hear people's perspective on films.
It's really cool.
Because what you watch, I might be like, no, I didn't really like it, or then vice versa, right? Yeah. So, but you guys listening, please also follow our socials. You can find us at Enter111, and that's ENTER, the number 1, and then 11 ELEVEN, and give us a follow, share. Support us any way you can by, you know, listening to all the different episodes, and we'll hopefully I have listeners.
Yeah, and if not, that's okay.
Oh well,
This was
it's
fun.
okay. This was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.